Most people's biggest weakness when they start training for arm wrestling is the arm. If you're one of them, this is the right video for you. In this video, I will show you the best exercises you can do to fix the weakness in your arm, and I will also give you some important tips that will help you get faster results from your training. First, let's shortly clarify what the arm actually is and what muscles will you have to train exactly. So when people talk about the arm, they usually mean two different muscles: the bicep and the brachioradialis. Both are extremely important and you should train them regardless of your style, because you don't want to have any weaknesses. Now let me clarify something, because I get this comment on every single video where I talk about bicep training. The comment is always something like, what do you think about what Todd Hutchings said about bicep? Or Todd Hutchings says bicep doesn't matter in arm wrestling. Or any similar comment related to what Todd says about bicep training. Listen, remember this and keep this in mind. I don't do these videos for guys like Todd Hutchings, who is already a world champion and one of the legends of the sport. He knows what works for him, he knows how to train, and I would never tell him how to train. That would be ridiculous. But for most of you, that means 99.9%, bicep training is beneficial. Why? Very simple. Because you are just starting out, or you have maximum 5 years in the sport. Your elbow flexors are still weak. You need to build a strong foundation first before you start specializing. The exact same thing happens with Devon. So many people try to copy him, without success of course, because guess what? You can't fake 35 years of arm wrestling. So this is a very complex topic and I don't want to go too deep into it. But keep this in mind, whatever Todd says, I'm not doing these videos for guys like Todd or for any other world champion. They already know their stuff. Now, back to the main subject, and as I already mentioned, you will need to train your bicep and your brachioradialis. These are the two main elbow flexors. There is a third one, which is the brachialis, which sits underneath your bicep, but you can't train it directly. You train it every single time your arm performs a curling movement. That's exactly why many of you have pain in the upper arm on the side of the arm after table time. Because you get opened up a lot and this puts a lot of pressure on the brachialis muscle. So let's start with the first elbow flexors, which is the brachioradialis. Your brachioradialis works at its highest capacity when your hand is in a neutral position or in a pronated position. So keep this in mind, because this applies to every single exercise out there. Your brachioradialis works most of the time together with your back on the arm wrestling table. And that's exactly why pull-ups is the best arm wrestling exercise there is. I made this mistake for a very long time. I trained only my brachioradialis thinking that it will be more than enough and I don't need anything else. But I started to realize that my arm was not really connected to my body. There were two different elements, which of course is very bad for arm wrestling because you want to be as connected as possible. After realizing this, I started to do pull-ups regularly and the results were incredible. My brachioradialis didn't necessarily get stronger, but my overall back pressure on the table took off really quickly. To target your brachioradialis properly, you will have to take a neutral grip. Now let me give you an exercise that will isolate the brachioradialis muscle entirely, and that is hammer curls at the power rack. You can do this one at the squat bench if you have one, sitting down at the pulley, and even from standing. There are so many variations you can do for this exercise. So whether you have special equipment or not, this is the right exercise for you. This is actually my favorite brachioradialis exercise. And before you ask, can I do the classic dumbbell hammer curls? Yes, of course, you can do that exercise as well. My only problem with dumbbell hammer curls is that you have to squeeze your hand while holding the weight and then curl the weight up, which doesn't translate that well to arm wrestling, because you never want to squeeze the hand of your opponent. But of course, if the only equipment you have is dumbbells, you can do it and it will make you stronger. No doubt about that. By the way, all the equipment you see in my videos is from Golden Grip, and with my code Alex, you will get 10% off on any purchase you make at goldengrip.com. The link is down below. I also run a giveaway right now where you can win 2 professional arm wrestling handles. So if you are interested, stick around until the end of the video. Let's move on to the second elbow flexor, and that is the bicep. You will actually do very similar exercises to the ones we already covered. The first and most important one is pull-ups. What a surprise! But the big difference is that now you will have to take a supinated grip. because you want to target primarily the bicep. I have seen many elite arm wrestlers do this exercise, to be more precise, many hook pullers, and it is for sure one of the best variations you can do. For some of you though, this exercise might feel weird on the wrist. So I would encourage you to try it out and see how it feels for you. Exercise number 2 is bicep curls on the table. There are so many variations of this exercise you can do. For example, you can do dumbbell curls at the power rack with a normal gym handle attached to the loading pin, at the squat bench, and many more. But honestly, after trying every single one of these, the bicep curls on the table still remain my favorite. The big challenge you have with bicep training is finding exercises that translate as accurately as possible on the arm wrestling table. And that's exactly why I like this exercise. You perform it directly on the table, so you can't get more accurate than that. Now let me get into the tips, and the first one is to give the body enough time to recover. This is one of the reasons many of you stall when it comes to the elbow flexors, because you train them way too frequently and with way too much volume, so the body just doesn't have enough time to recover. Everyone was in this trap. I need to train like crazy, no pain, no gain. But the more you advance into the sport, the more you realize that recovery is the most important aspect of arm wrestling. Of course, that doesn't mean that you should sleep when it comes to training. Of course not. You should train as hard as possible, but you should also give the body enough time to recover after your training sessions. Tip number 2 is to work on your coordination on the table. The elbow flexors never really work alone on the arm wrestling table. You will never just curl your arm in arm wrestling. The elbow flexors work together with side pressure, with your back, with your hand. So that means you will have to teach the body the right coordination between all those areas. And you'll only achieve this by doing a lot of table time. And of course, a lot of controlled table time. Don't just pull when you are on the table. Think about what you do, what muscles you want to train and activate. Ask yourself questions. Why does this happen? Why does my wrist give up? Analyze everything you do and try to improve one thing every time you step up to the table. And tip number 3 is to focus more on the elbow flexors, because they can compensate for your other weaknesses. Let me explain what I mean by this. I have a guy in my club who has a terrible side pressure. Really, his side pressure is extremely weak. But his back pressure and his hand are so strong that most of the time he doesn't even need the side pressure. He just applies his crazy back pressure combined with hand strength, takes the hand off the opponent, and after that goes straight to the side. But because he already controlled everything, pinning the opponent is just the last easy part, because there is not much resistance there. So keep this in mind. If for whatever reason you have a weaker side pressure, for example, you can compensate a lot with strong elbow flexors and a good coordination on the table. This was a complete breakdown on how to strengthen your back pressure. If you have any questions, write it down in the comment section below. You have the chance to win 2 different arm wrestling handles, the wrist wrench and the opti wrench. All you have to do is to go down to the video description and enter it with the link presented. With that being said, keep your eyes on this channel. Great stuff is coming.